Now in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Ride1Up Revv1 versus the Ariel Rider X-Class 52 volt. Now this video is going to be going over all the specs between the two bikes to do a full-on comparison, and I'll be doing an acceleration test to give my overall opinion on the comfort, stability, and performance of both these bikes. These bikes were given for today's comparison, but this video is not sponsored by either of these brands and will be a non-biased comparison in hopes to help you better spend your money and not empty out your wallet. Speaking of wallet, let's talk about today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Phantom Wallet. Phantom has wallets that can fit any budget, any style, have RFID protection, and come with a lifetime warranty on all models. Whether you want something simple, slim, and on a budget like the Phantom S that can add accessories like a money clip, coin holder, or an AirTag, or if you want to have something a bit more high-end like the Phantom X that is all aluminum and can add accessories like a coin holder, cash holder, ID holder, silicone band, and more, or if you want to go full minimalistic like the Phantom C MagSafe wallet that can attach to your iPhone, all great options to keep you organized and minimalistic on a budget. Thanks again for Phantom Wallet for sponsoring today's video. So as we take our first look at the visual comparison, the first question everyone asks is about price. The Revv1 starts at $18.95 for the hardtail and $23.95 for the full suspension. The X-Class is $23.99 and only has one option of being full suspension. So far the price is just $4 in difference in today's video comparison, and I don't have the hardtail option to give you my opinion on at the moment. A quick rundown of the specs of both these bikes is as listed. The X-Class comes equipped with a 52 volt 1000 watt rear hub motor with 2000 watt peak, while the Revv1 comes with a 52 volt 750 watt motor with 1400 watt peak. The X-Class has a 52 volt 20 amp hour battery pack that has a capacity of 1040 watt hours that can provide a range upwards of 75 miles, all with a 52 volt 33 amp hour controller, while the Revv1 has a 52 volt 20 amp hour battery pack and a 52 volt 20 amp hour controller. The frame of the X-Class is made out of 6061 aluminum alloy and has an overall capacity of 300 pounds, while the bike weighs in at 65.6 pounds. The Revv1 is made out of the same 6061 aluminum alloy and has a capacity of 400 pounds, but weighs in at 83 pounds. Now both these bikes came speed locked at 20 miles per hour since they're both considered Class 2 e-bikes. But for the sake of this test, both of these bikes are unlocked and will be able to reach their full potential for today's test. As we take a wider look and comparison of the cockpit of both these bikes, you'll notice BMX style handlebars on the X-Class with a twist throttle, 7-speed Shimano shifters, flat leather grips, Tektro hydraulic brakes, bell, controllers for the headlight and taillight turn signals, as well as a small but simple display. On the Revv1, you have a high-rise cafe style handlebar with a twist throttle, rubber knurled grips, hydraulic brakes, controller for headlight, taillight turn signals, horn, and controls to navigate the 3.5-inch display. The style of fork on both of these bikes is considered a double crown suspension fork. Both of them come with adjustable dampening and is pretty typical of the style of electric bike. The rear suspension on the X-Class is adjustable coil and air, while the rear suspension on the Revv1 is air only with dampening adjustments. You have a front headlight and rear taillight featured on both these bikes, with turning signals featured on both these bikes, but the X-Class only features the turning signals on the rear taillight, while the Revv1 features turning signals on the front and rear. On the X-Class, the fenders are plastic and the wheels are 20x4 spoked wheels that have 160mm rotors and hydraulic brakes to go with the knobby puncture-resistant tires. On the Revv1, you have hardened alloy fenders that have cast wheels that are 20x4 with 160mm rotors and hydraulic brakes to go with the CST Scout all-surface tires. The cranks on the X-Class are 170mm alloy with a 48-tooth chainring and Welgo alloy pedals. The Revv1 has 127mm cranks that have a 32-tooth chainring and alloy pedals. Last but not least, the X-Class comes with rear passenger foot pegs already installed and ready to go, while the Revv1 sells them separately. Now one thing I did notice when I got this bike out of the box is the back wheel is slightly bent. Now it wasn't a big deal and I was like, oh, I'll just true that later, but now as I'm riding it, I'm noticing this. All these spokes are creaking within the wheel. If I go to the other side and pull it, there you go, you got that there. So that's something to note. Not all of my Ariel riders have actually been this way. I'm just now noticing it on the ride. And I'm noticing it when I'm riding and noticing the creaking. So something to kind of think about. Now those are all the key features about these two bikes. Let's get on the trail and see how these bikes perform up against each other. All right, now we've reached the funnest part of this video. This is going to be the speed test. Now, I'm going to be doing it right now with the Ariel Rider, and I've marked a location 1,500 foot. This is a 1,500 foot stretch to be able to get up to the top speed and give you guys, I guess, my point of view on what to expect out of this bike. I weigh 184 pounds. I'm going to be doing this in pedal assist level 5, no pedaling at all throttle only. I'm going to be using the Bike GPS app on my phone to give an accurate representation of what to expect out of the speed. So let's get on the saddle right now and try it out. 32.5, and I saw 35 on the odometer, so it's a bit off. Let's get back and talk about it and give you guys my thoughts on the overall ride and experience. Now, as you saw there, the bike's speedometer said 35 miles per hour, but my bike GPS says 32.5 miles per hour. That's also not the top speed I've been able to get on this bike. While on my way here, I was able to reach 40 miles per hour according to the bike, but my bike GPS said 36.5 miles per hour, I believe. With that being said, it's a little bit different between that and the GPS on my phone, as well as, I guess, the Revv1. If you saw my previous review, you saw that the Revv1 GPS was showing a little bit more true to the top speed. It said 38 miles per hour, which is absolutely insane. So we're going to see if we can achieve that same speed here in this 1,500-foot test track and see if it can kind of go up against this. Overall, I will give you my point of view on what one I think feels better at this speed. And yeah, let's get this bad boy on the trail right now. All right, same thing. Bike GPS set up here to match up against the speed that's on the speedometer here. Now, I do have it in pedal assist level 5, like I said before, and I will not be pedaling this bike at all. It's going to be throttle only. Let's get started. I had to lock up the brakes there anyway, just because I'm running street tires and the Ariel rider's running knobby tires. They would just get completely destroyed. Hit 35 plus miles per hour. Stopping distance wasn't that bad, actually. Slammed on the brakes. This was our 1,500 foot location, but I slammed on the brakes back there, right about here. But it says my top speed was 34.6 miles per hour. Ooh, that's actually pretty well. All right, so for this next part, I want to use a gravel path like this. I want to see what it feels like at a top speed on both these bikes on a gravel trail that's real bumpy and robust. And not only that, I want to see what it feels like to come to a complete stop skidding on a gravel trail on both these bikes. Now, both these are equipped with two different styles of tires. You have the CTS tires that are on the Revv1, and then you have these knobby tires that are on the X Class. Now, these knobby tires will become completely flattened out if you slam on your brakes on an actual asphalt trail. Here, not so much, but we should get a good representation of what to expect for you out there as a rider on a gravel trail, because that's mainly what you're going to be riding on one of these bad boys. These are fun bikes. So let's get to it right now. All right, so before we start this part of the test, I at least want to let you know, if you don't already know this already, that I have a professional cycling background, so I already know what to expect on how to go off of different terrains and see exactly how the bike will feel, especially the tires and how they'll differ and how they'll feel, whether it's gravel like this, grass, or even asphalt that's down there. So I definitely don't recommend you trying this test unless you already have some type of professional background in cycling and already know what to expect. Let's get to it. All right, so that was at 35 miles per hour. I slammed on the brakes as soon as I saw it at 35 miles per hour. And I'm gonna give you guys my point of view once we get the Revv1 out here, so I can give you guys a proper idea of what I think that ride felt like. But the stopping distance was really good, really good. We're gonna take a step back here right now, and it locked up too. It locked up. It didn't really, slide at all. So let's see, we started right here with our braking. And I'd have to say it's about 25 feet. I mean, we can gauge it right now with a size 11.5. 32 feet, basically. So 32 of my size 11s in distance. Now, I wasn't really having anything in front of me to be able to use my reaction time. I just slammed on the brakes as soon as I saw 35 miles per hour. And overall, I handled it pretty well. Let's get the Revv1 out here right now, do this exact same test, and try to stop at its top speed. Now, this is going to be a good comparison because the tires definitely aren't really made for gravel, but I'm sure they will grip pretty nice. Let's get this up to the top speed, try to go through all the exact same maneuvers that I did earlier with the X Class, and we'll come to a complete stop, and we'll see how this works. All right, so right off the rip, I can tell you that this thing feels way more solid on the trail. It could be because we don't have the gear system that the X-Class has and the chain slapping. It just feels more rigid and solid. Now, the stopping, we already can tell right there that I took so much longer to stop, and it has to do with the tires. I mean, I started stopping. Let's back up right now. I mean, that was a long skid, dude. Started to get a little squirrely. Started to stop right here. That's, I'm not even gonna lie to you, that's about 50 feet. That has a lot to do with the tire combination we have on this bike, but it definitely felt way more solid and stable while on the trail. I didn't notice any like harsh rebounds from the suspension. I didn't notice any chain slapping, obviously, and everything just felt good. It could be, you know, a cross between the really nice cushion. I mean, like, I'm barely pressing that. It has such a nice plush cushion compared to the X-Class, even though you can get a different saddle for the X-Class and extend it and get a nice plush one. These are just things I just notate when I'm riding the bike. This is maximum PSI, and I have the suspension at the exact same level as the X-Class. Let's go talk about my final thoughts. So as I said earlier, both these bikes were given to me for this review and comparison, but this is going to be my unbiased opinion on both these bikes. And with that being said, you already saw my opinion on the X-Class, and not only just the build quality for this one being shipped out to me, but we can already attest that FedEx and UPS really don't take care of our bikes, and they just throw them around. And I've received bikes that have been damaged from all different brands across the board. My other Ariel Rider X-Class, my Grizzly, any other bikes that I have, they basically have come hit or miss. Some of them come messed up, some of them don't. And that's kind of something to be said about the manufacturers. Maybe they need to pay a little bit more attention of what, you know, their factories are kind of putting out. Now, the Revv1 has also had its issues. Mine didn't, but I've seen people on Facebook have issues with the build quality of the cassette, as well as their motor, and then the chain, you know, not being long enough, a whole bunch of stuff. So I actually really encourage you to become a part of these Facebook groups before you make a purchase to kind of see what to expect. Now, my unbiased opinion on both these bikes. These are two different animals. One is made for the trails, one's made for the streets. Now, you can ride the X-Class on the streets. Is it going to be as like nimble and fun as the Revv on the streets? My opinion, no. I don't think it will. If you're more of a street rider and you find yourself just really wanting to take turns faster, the Revv1 is the bike for you. It's also a different ergonomic feel. With the BMX style handlebars in the X-Class, you're sitting more upright. It almost feels, like I said, more of a BMX bike. I do wish it had shorter crank arms like the Revv1 has, but I also wish the Revv1 had the 1,000-watt motor that the X-Class has. So it's kind of a give and take. Actually, I think that if the Revv1 came out with a 1,000-watt motor or a dual motor setup, that bike would be untouched by any bikes out there. So with that being said, kind of come up with your own opinion. I mean, I hope this kind of helps you come up with your own opinion. If you have the access to be able to ride both these bikes, definitely do so before making the purchase. And with that being said, if you guys are interested in either of these bikes, click the links in the description below to be able to check a little bit more about them. And also, big shout out to Phantom Wallet for sponsoring today's video. If you're interested in any of their products, click the link in the description below and use Fede10 at checkout for 10% off. So if you guys like this video, drop a like. If you love it, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.